Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. I hope you all had a great weekend. A big thank you to my newest Patreon supporter, Ben. Thank you very much. Getting right into it, you probably saw the Cybertruck production. It looks like will be delayed into 2022. They were actually recording some Cybertruck footage on the Tesla Motors Instagram page. Very short clip. It almost looked like it was rendered, but I thought it was pretty cool. But Sawyer did share, and if you go to the Cybertruck configuration page, you will see in the image, it says you will be able to complete your configuration as production nears in 2022. So honestly, no real surprise there. I think a few of us had our fingers crossed for very small production in 2021, but that'll most likely now be pushed into 2022. And here is a video that was actually from a few weeks ago from Giga Berlin, but it's the stamping area. I just wanted to share this with you guys in case you missed it, and presumably this is actually going to be further along. As I said, this was 2 to 3 weeks ago, but a German reporting agency, I believe, shared the video, and then someone posted it on YouTube. So and as you can see, after months of Tesla lobbying, India is now considering a sharp import tax cut on EVs. So India is considering slashing import duties on electric cars to as low as 40%. So for imported EVs with a value of less than $40,000, which would include the car's cost, insurance, and freight, the government is discussing slashing the tax rate from 60% to a new 40% mark. For EVs valued at more than 40K, it's looking at cutting the rate to 60% from 100% currently. India is the world's fifth largest car market with annual sales of about 3 million vehicles, but the majority of cars sold are priced below $20,000, so Tesla will still be in the luxury segment in this Indian market. And as we know, if things go well early on with Tesla in India, we will probably see a manufacturing facility of some sort for Tesla locally in India. But none of this is a done deal. The discussions are still ongoing and private, but this is some encouraging news nonetheless. And here we have a quick update on the Boring Company in Austin.
Well, I've confirmed the Boring Company recently met with the city of Austin to discuss a possible underground transportation tunnel from the Tesla Gigafactory to downtown Austin. The city's Development Services Department says the company provided them a high-level introduction of the project and sought to better understand permitting requirements. A spokesperson confirmed the tunnel would go from the Gigafactory in southeastern Travis County through Austin Bergstrom International Airport and into downtown. She added that the discussions were preliminary and could not provide any more details. The Boring Company has grabbed global headlines for its approach to digging tunnels for transportation and shipping. It has not responded to multiple emails and phone calls from us about an Austin tunnel in the last 2 weeks.
And we get some leaked images from Giga Texas as the Model Y initial testing and calibration phase has begun. So this is from Joe on Twitter, who does a lot of the drone flyovers. These images show a test vehicle production line is functional at Giga Texas. And this image shows 2 Model Y test vehicle body frames in line at the body shop. So here is the original tweet. Giga Texas should start the first batch of test pre-production runs of the Model Y. These are test cars for calibration and training as mentioned, not for sale. The goal is to begin initial production of for-sale vehicles in early October. A lot going on inside as well as outside. And speaking of outside, Tesla is seemingly constructing a test track at Giga Texas as well. And this is a pretty cool map with some sizing that Joe put together, so go ahead and take a screenshot if you want to check that out more in depth. Ray for Tesla tweeted the Tesla China R&D Center, where the $25,000 car is being designed, will go online soon. There are plenty of jobs open in 7 different categories like vehicle design, software, hardware design, material engineering, powertrain, etc., etc. I, for one, am very excited to actually see what this $25,000 car will look like. I do think it might look different in different markets. You know, maybe the European market does have a hatchback. I've heard those are very popular there, but the guesses are that maybe sometime in Q3, this R&D center officially comes online. But here we have it. Martin Vieca, the head of Tesla Investor Relations, shared the 2020 Impact Report. So this is the document. It is very long. It's 94 pages. I did power read through the whole thing, and I picked out my most exciting topics that I will share with you guys. Of course, it's linked below. So in your free time, if you want to dive in deeper, I would definitely encourage that you do that. It gives you some really cool insights into Tesla, how they're thinking about things, a lot of really good data. So you can actually battle the bears with real hard actual data instead of just, high level emotional stuff, things like Tesla safety and fires and emissions, all of those things that people like to try to pick apart Tesla with. Well, this report really gives us all the information we need to debunk all of that FUD very well. So some of the most exciting things for me right out of the gate, Tesla reiterated their goals for 2030, selling 20 million electric vehicles per year compared to 0.5 million or 500,000 in 2020, as well as to deploy 1,500 gigawatt hours of energy storage per year compared to 3 gigawatt hours in 2020. This, of course, is a 500 times production level for the energy deployment over the next 9 years. Very exciting stuff. On this slide, they talk about their factories and how Fremont, where a lot of their production was coming from, was really built, 60 years ago. It wasn't designed for Tesla, and they made the best that they could with that situation. But now, as we start to see Tesla's margins improving, really only with Shanghai coming online, think of what their numbers are going to start to look like when they have Berlin and Giga Texas online, which each successive gigafactory is going to be more efficient and more optimized and streamlined for what Tesla is doing. So this is a huge deal and not very well understood by most people. And the product localization, for a very long time, this was Tesla's business model. They made basically all of their cars in Fremont and then shipped them all the way around the world. Well, obviously now their strategy is not to do that, to localize production. And once we get Shanghai continuing to scale and get Berlin up and running and Giga Texas, it's going to be so much faster and more efficient for deliveries, better margins, all of that. Great stuff. And I really like this chart, the origin of non-Tesla produced vehicle components. So what percent is not technically vertically integrated? Well, at Fremont, as you can see, it's about 27% of non-Tesla parts are coming outside of North America. And in China, we have that number down to 14%. So basically you could say they're about 86% locally or vertically integrated in the Chinese market, a major improvement from the Fremont factory. And a lot of people have been asking, when is Tesla going to put more solar panels on Giga Nevada? Because they said the entire roof was going to be covered. We finally get an update. Giga Nevada was designed to be covered with solar panels. To date, we've installed the panels with a capacity of 3,200 kilowatts. This installation will grow to about 24,000 kilowatts, or about 7 times from where it is now, the whole roof of the current building structure by the end of next year. This will make it the largest rooftop solar installation in the US. We are installing solar panels at other locations too, like Fremont and Giga New York. So it looks like this roof will be completely covered in solar panels by the end of 2022, which is awesome. There's our answer. And I've said this many times before, but the pollutants from ICE vehicles are terrible for the air, even when you can't see the effects of the cars. But looking at these pictures, this is the Italian Alps before the stay-at-home or the lockdowns from the pandemic. And here is the same vantage point, but this is pollution in the Italian Alps during the COVID-19 lockdowns. So the more of these ICE cars that we can get off the streets, the better our air quality will be, and the less premature deaths we will have from all of the problems that inhaling that top picture atmosphere causes for people. So ask yourself, which one would you rather live in? We all know the answer. And Tesla gives us an update on some in-house battery recycling. They've already been working it, but with the implementation of in-house cell manufacturing at Giga Berlin and Giga Texas, we expect substantial increases in manufacturing scrap globally. We intend to tailor recycling solutions to each location and thereby reintroduce valuable materials back into our manufacturing process. From an economic perspective, over the long term, recycling will be far lower and cheaper than purchasing additional raw materials for cell manufacturing. And in the fourth quarter of 2020, Tesla successfully installed the first phase of their cell recycling facility at Giga Nevada for in-house processing of both battery manufacturing scrap and end-of-life batteries. And looking at this chart, taking 1,000 kilowatt hours worth of end-of-life batteries, they're basically getting a 95% recovery rate, yielding about 921 kilowatt hours worth of raw materials for battery production. We're talking between 95 and 97% recovery rates. Currently, Tesla uses less water per vehicle than almost any ICE automaker. Here is the chart. And when it comes to solar, check this out. So as of the end of 2020, Tesla has installed almost 4 gigawatts of solar systems and cumulatively generated over 20.8 terawatt hours of emission-free electricity. For reference, that's a multiple times more energy generated by our installations than the total energy Tesla has used to run all of our factories since we began producing the Model S in 2012. So as you can see, the blue is energy produced in gigawatt hours and the gray is energy consumed across all factories since 2012. That's a pretty cool stat. Here's the safety stat to remember. In 2020, a Tesla vehicle with autopilot engaged in the US experienced just 0.2 accidents per million miles driven, while the average was around 9 times higher at 2 accidents per million miles driven. Even in cases where only active safety features were engaged, our vehicles had a 4.5 times lower collision rate than the US average in 2020. So the data tells us Tesla Autopilot is about 9 times safer than the United States average vehicle. The good old fire data. Due to a public misconception, Tesla is now reporting on this metric. From 2012 to 2020, there has been approximately 1 Tesla vehicle fire for every 205 million miles traveled. By comparison, data from the National Fire Protection Agency and the U.S. Department of Transportation show that in the U.S. there is 1 vehicle fire for every 19 million miles traveled. So a fire for a Tesla vehicle, 1 in every 205 million miles, and a non-Tesla, 1 in every 19 million miles. So battery storage. In 2020, Tesla sold 3 gigawatt hours worth of energy storage products, about 25% of the 12 gigawatt hour global market. A quick note on cobalt, because I have said before, I don't see this use going to zero even for Tesla. It's important to note that while we expect our absolute cobalt demand to increase over the coming years, because our vehicle and cell production growth rate is forecasted to outpace the overall rate of the cobalt reduction on a per cell basis. Tesla is committed, however, to using only responsible sources of cobalt, ensuring transparency and preventing instances of human rights violations associated with cobalt. And I thought this was awesome. So Tesla is going to be using blockchain technology to essentially track and manage their supply chain of cobalt to make it, more transparent and viewable. So in these collaborations with Resource and BHP, basically upon completion, the system will allow users to fully track cobalt from the mine to the battery with assurance that the volume of traceable material is understood, as well as the sustainability efforts of upstream suppliers. So I thought this was a really cool initiative that I'll be curious to see. And of course, I could have kept going. There's a lot of little nuggets in this report. I really think it's worth your time to go through it on your own and find what you think is exciting, but those are some of the biggest takeaways for me. But of course, let me know what you thought was the most important and the stuff that I missed. But overall, it's really great to see these reports. It's kind of a reminder of the mission of Tesla and how much they're tracking and what their goals and objectives really are, and what the actual data says about the progress being made to a cleaner and a more sustainable future. These are always very encouraging. And real quick, Jefferies upgraded Tesla from $700 a share to $850 as the new price target, basically citing Tesla's financials are improving and EV demand is growing. Groundbreaking stuff. That's all for today. Please take a second to like the video if you did. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.